I don't often get to talk about rhythm games on this channel. It is a favourite genre of mine and I do spend a lot of time playing rhythm games, but because I do all of my recording on the PlayStation 4 and there aren't too many rhythm games that get released on that console, I don't get a chance to get too much footage to talk about. There are the Hatsune Miku games, of course, and I have spent an awful lot of time playing those, into the thousands of hours actually. But those games, when you record them on Share Factory, they don't have sound for some reason, so it's a little bit odd to try and talk about rhythm games without the music, and so I haven't. But I have had the privilege of playing Deemo on the PS4 this week, and it is a really lovely little game. It is a remaster, or port, or remake really, of a mobile then Nintendo Switch title that has been done to really take advantage of the PlayStation 4's hardware as well. There's VR and everything in here if you're into that. And it's a really good quality port on top of that. It's a really lovely game, so I'm going to talk about that this week. The thing I really love about Deemo, and what was immediately attractive to me when I first played this on the Nintendo Switch, is that each track that you play, you're playing the piano or an emulation of the piano. A lot of rhythm games don't really care about the instrument that you were playing along with. They are just more that you're meant to tap along with the rhythm or the melody or whatever. But Deemo, you are playing along with the piano part of the score. And that works into the story because Deemo, the enigmatic character himself, is a pianist and you are playing his role. So you're playing the piano part of each piece of music. And it ranges a wide range of genres. There's everything from classical to hip-hop to jazz within the track list. But in each time you are playing the piano bit. And that really appeals to me because I grew up playing the piano as a kid. Spent many years learning the instrument and playing it for exams and working my way up the levels. It was kind of a school subject as well. So it was a big part of my childhood. And to this day I do love to go back to the piano, the actual piano itself, and play music. I've got dozens and dozens of musical scores from Final Fantasy and Persona and Nier Automata, and I've actually got the Deemo piano score because every time I go to Japan I pick up a bunch of sheet music to play, and it's just something I like to do when I get the time. It's not a profession for me by any means, and I'm certainly not a professional pianist, but it is a hobby and it is something that I like to do to relax. So to have a game emulate that experience is a really nice touch. And Deemo does it really well. I've got to say, it does it better on the Switch, and that's only because the Switch has the touchscreen controls, and with an instrument like the piano, it just feels more natural to actually be tapping the screen and the keys, virtual as they are, in time with the music. With this one, you've got 6 different buttons to play with, and it's mapped really nicely across the top of the PlayStation 4 controller, so it's quite easy to follow along with, even when you've got the VR headset on and can't see the controller itself. But it's still a very abstract emulation of the act of playing the piano. So experientially, I do think the Switch version works slightly better, but that's not to say that this game isn't incredible quality in its own right, and it really is. There's less music on this one than there is with the Nintendo Switch. The Switch version of Deemo has something obscene like 250 odd pieces of music, which is incredibly rich contents, whereas this one has about 60 or 70 pieces of music, which sounds low, but there's still an awful lot in there, and it's going to take you a long time to work through all of the difficulty levels as well. There are 3 different difficulty levels, and as you can see here on the screen in front of you, hard does require quite a bit of practice and patience to master. But yeah, 60 seems low. What they've done to try and, I guess, boost the value of the game, or to give people who played it on Switch or mobile a reason to double dip, is they've added a kind of 3D exploration mode. So Deemo in original, the Switch version or the mobile version, gives you kind of a 2D picture of the various rooms in Deemo's kind of tree castle to explore. This one actually gives you an actual 3D world to explore, and it has some little puzzles to work out through as you play along as well. And there seems to be a greater emphasis on trying to tell a story through the PlayStation 4 version, which is nice, and it's presented really well. There's this great sense of mystery as you're exploring the tree and unlocking the puzzles and reading the books, and it's quite gorgeously presented. It's just a very different focus, and it almost seems like at times that this version of Deemo tries to split itself between being a rhythm game and being a kind of puzzle-based adventure title. Ultimately, it doesn't do the adventure game stuff as well as dedicated adventure games, and I do get the sense that this game was used by Rayark, the developer, as a bit of an excuse to try and develop engines and stuff to take the next step, because this is a studio that has always specialized in rhythm games and hasn't really done too much with consoles. So I do get the sense that this was them trying to up the ante in terms of the kind of the range, the development range that they have, and they've used this game as an excuse to do that, which is fine. I appreciate the experimentation. It's just not quite as refined as it will be as Rayark gets more experience with these kinds of things. But the music itself, the rhythm game side of things itself, is where the real core of this game still lies, and they've done a really good job with it. I mean, if you think about what makes a good rhythm game, for me, the important thing is that it feels like you're actually playing along with the music. If it's too abstract, or if the icons don't manage to kind of marry up with the music in a kind of meaningful way, then I feel like the rhythm game loses it a little bit. And there are some examples of that. For example, DJ Max, which I think is a very fine rhythm game in its own right, and it is on PlayStation 4. It loses me a little bit because it feels like the placement of the icons and the beat map is a little bit abstracted, and that's it just doesn't quite feel like I'm playing music. Whereas with this one, Deemo in particular, I feel like every part of it is very carefully designed to carefully emulate the experience of playing the piano. And I really do feel like it. I feel like as I'm pressing the buttons, I'm actually pressing keys. And when I play piano, I do play in a different way to when I play a video game, even though buttons and keys are fairly similar in terms of what you actually do to create an effect. There's a tactility to playing the piano where the press of the button, or sorry, the key is emotive, and you feel something as you're doing it because you're playing music. Whereas with a video game, it's a more kind of technological kind of process, and it feels quite mechanical and cold. But when I'm playing Deemo, I'm actually feeling the kind of the button presses as I'm playing, so it feels like I'm playing the piano, which is really nice. The flip side to that, and it's something that I think is particularly pertinent to Deemo because Deemo works so hard to try and be a piano playing kind of experience, is that when you play music, there's an organic feel to it. There's the slightest variations in timing, or the slightest variations in pressure as you press the keys, or just there's that kind of human element to playing piano, which is what makes piano so great. You need to be on time, of course, and that's why you spend so much time when you're learning piano with a metronome and really kind of drumming the exact rhythm into you. But there are slight variations in terms of how you play piano, which is what differentiates a great piano player from a not so great one. And the reason that people still like the original pianos rather than electronic ones is because there's a feel, there's a tone, there's a whole lot of really super subtle variances in how to play piano. And rhythm games don't do a great job of emulating that. With a rhythm game, you have to hit the note at the exact moment to get the right score, and there's that lack of performative element in rhythm games, which means that you don't feel like it's as creative of a process as it is to actually play music. And I have no idea how developers could even start to try and resolve that. But to create a really true rhythm game experience, it would be really important for a developer to be more flexible with how the scoring works, and to encourage people to come up with their own variations on how to play the bass notes. That's something that Deemo doesn't have. Deemo's more of a kind of arcade game in the sense that you're trying to get a good score by being as precise as possible, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works really well, and like I've been saying, I really enjoyed this game. But it is something that I would like to see, I guess, rhythm game developers starting to experiment with, is to be a little bit less mechanical about how to actually play along with the music, and to encourage players to be a little bit more creative and performative and make the rhythm game more like the experience of playing music as opposed to playing a game. But anyway, that's a digression. I still think that this is an absolutely marvellous rhythm game. It's actually the one that I've probably played the most on the Switch so far. Obviously, there isn't a Hatsune Miku game on the Switch just yet, but of all the rhythm games out there, Deemo's the one that I keep coming back to, and I think I'll do the same with the PlayStation 4 version as well. I do hope that there's some updates with additional music down the track, but I guess that would depend on how successful this game is. I haven't been able to show VR footage because VR doesn't record very well on Share Factory, but it works really well. It's a really lovely VR game too, so it's a good reason to pull the headset out. Otherwise, yeah, if you do enjoy your rhythm games, let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments. But other than that, please do subscribe if you enjoy my videos, as I'd like to do a lot more of them. Please do back me on Patreon, all the usual disclaimers and all that. And thank you, as always, for watching. We will see you at the next video.